All right, and we are live. What is going on? Happy end of 2015 to you. This is the Seacoast Beverage Lab podcast for the 28th of December, 2015. I'm your host, Brian, and we're doing this thing. We are doing the very first ever Best of Awards where we painstakingly took the past couple weeks to figure out what we've had the past year and what we liked, and we have a whopping 25 categories worth of best ofs for you. So at the end of this thing, you're going to have a 100 plus ideas of what we think are the best of in the area, as well as some of the U.S. So let's get to it. We'll cut right to the chase. Again, I'm Brian. I'm drinking the Boom Sauce by Lord Hobo. And big shout out to Momo, past host of the show. Mike Meredith met up with him a couple weeks ago. He tossed me a 4-pack of that as a Christmas present, so much appreciated. And I got 2 cans because this show might run a little long. Yeah, you should too if you guys are watching. Grab a beer. Starting from the far left, Ben Watts. What's up, my man?
What's up, guys? Happy end of 2015. Happy to be here. I am drinking Chrysopolis
Whoa.
by Birrifico del Ducato. This was actually my runner-up for my best beer of 2015.
Nice.
Most excellent.
It's super danky sour
Oh, cool.
Where'd you pick that one up?
in your mouth. I got this down in Connecticut at a little package store next to Steady Habit Brewing.
All right.
Which was closed when I went there. Thanks a lot, Thanksgiving.
Closed because of Thanksgiving, not closed.
Yeah.
That was Carla, welcome back.
Heyo. I am drinking something I also picked up on my familial travels during the holidays, which is the Anderson Valley Goza. This is the blood orange version. Really, really delicious. But I figured I'd start with the low ABV one before I get into 25 categories of goodness.
Yeah, right. Speaking of goodness, Shano.
How's
What's
it going? Sean Jansen from TwoBeerGuys.com. I'm currently drinking a Working Man's Porter from Henniker Brewing Company.
Yum.
From a can.
From a can.
Yes. They did it. How's it taste from the can? Just as good?
Delicious.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it their own canner? No, it's Ironheart, right?
It is their own canner.
No kidding. No cannon.
Yep.
Nice. Little beer pun to start the thing off. Here we go. But yeah, so if you guys are listening or watching us on YouTube, you can go to sblpodcast.com and click the link for the chat. And as the categories go, feel free to toss in what your favorites were, and feel free to tweet us with the hashtag SBLPodcast. We're going to get right to it. Again, we broke these down into the 25 categories that we felt kind of did the best we could on regionality as far as New England. We're not essentially a New England focused podcast, but we're all from there, so we kind of made the categories around there, and then we kind of had some fun with the other ones. But we're going to get right into it. Category number 1 is best label design. I think a lot of breweries have stepped it up in the past couple of years, but we've been seeing some great labels both on cans and bottles. But how do we want to do this? I think we're going to start from the left, the alphabetical order, just because that's how that goes, Ben. And we can switch off, every other category. So Ben, let's kick this one off. Best label design. Where are you going? What's going on here?
So, I thought that there was a lot of great stuff coming out this year as far as label design goes. I'm one. For me, it's more of a nice graphic design. That's what I really kind of get drawn towards. I thought that Grimm put out a lot of great labels this year, but my favorite, Brian, if you wouldn't mind holding that up again.
Oh, this little guy?
Is Boom Sauce. I think it's such an awesome graphic label.
Yes.
It just kind of shouts out what it is, and anytime you're holding that, somebody that doesn't know what it is like, what are you drinking? So that's my pick for best label.
Awesome. So we got Boom Sauce as a winner from Lord Hobo Brewing Company. Again, best label on the can, as voted by Ben Watts. So yell at him if you don't like that. No, I'm kidding. So coming up, so Ben and I had similar thinking in that simplistic but also can design. I went with the newly released Substance can from Bissell Brothers Brewing in Portland. They recently released it in an all-black can, which kind of looked like a sweet tuxedo. So I dug that can. I don't have a picture of it with me, but it was released a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was super fresh. I do have runners up, but I'm not going to say them because this is the best ofs. It's not the second best ofs. So, Carla, what are you thinking?
Mine was also for the kind of design, typography type thing, and I encourage you guys to Google this. Bunker Brewing, who actually inherited the Bissell Brothers' old canning equipment, has been putting out basically their flagship, which is called their Machine Pills, and it just has this really clean, crisp, old school looking label that's also new at the same time, and it really stands out among all the other labels up on the shelf there. So I believe they got a Portland company to do that design work, and it looks really good. And it's just worth a shout out because it's very different than everybody else's.
And I dig a can that does a horizontal label. That way you can put a couple next side by side and have it spell the whole word.
So yeah,
super cool. So we got Machine Pills by Bunker getting the nod, and Sean. What are we going for? Best label.
I went into the direction of sort of traditional / comic style with the collaboration between Jack's Abbey Brewing Company and Otter Creek, selecting joint custody. And if you don't remember the label, it actually had the VW bus. It had Mike in it and the dog, and Jack and Mike are in the foreground with the other brothers sitting in the bus. I just thought that was a great showing of collaboration of kind of bringing both Jack's Abbey and Otter Creek into one art design, where the hippie bus for Otter Creek and then the Jack's Abbey brothers were in the traditional German lederhosen.
Awesome.
Now
So,
we do have some chatters with
what do you got,
us.
chat?
So first off, just to go back to what some of the chatters are drinking, currently right now, Raising the Barstool is drinking a Trekker Triple from Slumbrew, which is also from a can, and Ken K. Guyot is enjoying a Pesh and Brett by Logsden, which is a brewery in the Pacific Northwest. Ken Guyot has selected Trillium's design in general.
Yeah, solid.
And Raising That Barstool is going with / Beer Murte.
Yes.
That's the one that has the Day of the Dead type character on the label, which is pretty solid.
Yeah, that's a cool.
Such a cool label.
Yeah.
Yeah. So rounding it out, and I do have a correction because I misread mine, or I saw which one I was looking for. But Ben with Boom Sauce can. I picked the Bissell Brothers Swish black can, not Substance. Carla went with the Bunker Brewing Machine Pills, also a can. And Sean with the Jack's Abbey Joint Custody. That's a can? Sean?
Yes.
Look at that. 4 cans, one of the top honors here. So that's how we're doing this here. So that's how we do best label design. And again, feel free to hop in the chat and tell us what you think. Next, I'll do this one. I'll kick off with the best event. This is all personal right here. It's kind of the best event that we happen to go to this past year. And I guess mine is most notable now because it's no longer happening. But the American Craft Beer Fest this past year was my first time. I took my wife to it in Boston, hosted by the Beer Advocate Bros, and it's always a great time. There's always way too much beer, and it's in a great spot. Recently in the news, it's being put on hold in favor of another microbrewery festival, which are in the show notes of this podcast. So my favorite of the year was probably the last ACBF ever, but we'll see. I did enjoy that, and Carl and I went a couple years ago. Sean and I have been there, so yeah, it's good stuff. You guys like that fest?
Yeah, solid festival. Usually a lot of breweries that we don't get access to attend it, so that's always nice.
And for me, that's about the biggest fest that I can tolerate.
I'm so with you on that. Yeah.
Right on the edge of everyone get out of my way and go home. So I enjoyed it, but I've been definitely shifting towards the smaller ones as I've become a cranky old woman.
Yep. Speaking of, wait, well, I mean, Be Cranky, you're next. What's your favorite event of the last year?
So, as you know, speaking of small but still a really good fest, was the Maine Brewers Guild's Fest that was held this year, again at Thompson's Point, which is that kind of new venue out in Portland that sticks out over by the airport. Great outdoor fest, plenty of room. I think I raved about this for like 3 podcasts straight when it happened. But what I love about it most, I think, is that it's basically almost every single Maine brewer all in one place. They all bring the brewers and the actual people that work there down, and they're the ones also walking around sampling beer too. So it's really like just the place for the Maine beer community to be all together. It's like a little reunion every year. It's very cool.
Hell yeah. Are they doing it again?
They should be, location TBD, but I hope they do it again at Thompson Point because I think it's a great venue.
Awesome. Shano, what do you got?
All right, this one was a little tough. I've been to a lot of different events and festivals. There was a bunch of runners up on this, but I went with the Gate City Brew Fest in Nashua. I know that we've talked about it on the phone beforehand. You guys haven't had a chance to go to it yet. It's a brew fest and wing competition. There was about 15 different restaurants that had different types of wings. And it was on a baseball field. So those who don't like who feel a little bit claustrophobic, it's outside, great day in August, and a very good selection of beer, music, and you can actually bring your whole family. So we encourage people to bring carriages and lawn chairs and just kind of sit around and have a good time. So I went with that because I just think that overall for me is kind of that next fest type of concept that has almost everything in it that you need, and you can go with someone that's a non-drinker because designated drivers are allowed in too. So
yeah, I feel bad for you, Sean, for this whole voting thing because you're involved in a lot of stuff in the scene. Like you're in charge of a bunch of events too, so it's tough for you to pick. So I appreciate you picking your favorite child at this one because that's it was a tough call because you're involved in a lot of shit. So yeah. You did it. Ben.
For me, I kind of went outside the box. Didn't go with like a traditional festival or event, but a couple times this year, we would just like get a hotel or an Airbnb up in Portland and just hop around, and had so much fun doing it. Did it 2 or 3 times this year. I think Brian, you and I did it once, and I did it with my wife once. It was great. There's just like so much to do, and even though there's so much to do, I found myself continuously going back to some of the same places just because I had such a blast between. There's such a great range of things between like Arcadia, going to have video games, Slab, where I found this beer for the first time, had it there. And, there's just it really doesn't end, and it's so different. Going to the bowling place that has like amazing tap list and great food.
Bayside Bowl.
Bayside Bowl, yeah, outstanding. So Portland is my pick for best quote unquote event.
And shameless plug, in this month's issue of All About Beer magazine, there's an article about how to spend 48 hours in Portland, authored by me. So go.
Oh. Yeah. Nice. Was it just stay in a hotel and sleep?
No. It's 48 hours in Portland, Maine, and actually most of the places you just mentioned are in there. So.
Awesome.
And from the chat, there was mention of Wild Friendship Celebration, and Mead Hall's 12 Brewers of Christmas.
That Wild Friendship one, Carl, you went to that one, right, too?
Mm-mm.
Oh, nope, not.
I wish
I'm not even sure which one that one is.
Oh, that looked like a good time. I think it cost a pretty penny, too, for what I remember. But yeah, I think it was a hundo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did go to that one. I'm sorry. That's So Wild Friendship was the Allagash one where they had all of the different.
Yeah, Russian River up there.
Yes.
Million Cantillon. I'm sorry. I was like, oh yeah, no, I wanted to go to that. I'm like, it's because I did. No, it was that was great because it was basically like a giant open house of awesome beer and people and collaborations and sours. So if you're into the sours or wilds at all, that was a good one.
Sweet. Yeah, so what's that we do? Yeah, so that's how we're going to do it for the best events. Again, going down the list real quick. Ben basically making up his own events over the year, which obviously you guys should too, and making your own beer travels, doing some Portland hopping. I chose the ACBF, the American Craft Beer Festival in Boston. Carla chose the Maine Brewers Guild Fest at Thompson's Point, and Sean with the Gate City Brew Fest. So that is the best event awards. And again, what we do is we send people Pepperidge Farm meat basket for all the award winners. So if you guys have a winner in your no winner, just tell them to expect a big old meat stick in the mail to get it. Tis the season; they're on sale. Let's go over the next. Now we're starting to go for the throat here. We're starting to pick. Events are fun, labels are neat, but now we're going for here's some places that we love, and we talk about places a lot. But now we're going to go to the best tap room category. This is essentially, these are breweries, a tap room to us, because we have a separate bar category. So this is the best tap room in a brewery. So we're going to kick it off with Carla this time. And Carla, what do you think for best tap room that you've had this year, or been to this year?
Well, I will qualify that there is another category for best tap room New England. So
Sure.
I had originally put something else in here, and then I changed my mind once I realized there was a New England specific version. But I did get an opportunity to go to Copenhagen, Denmark this year, and I spent a good chunk of time at McKellar and Friends, which is basically their tap room, where they also have a couple of guest taps on from other breweries in the area, and it was just, for anybody who's at all into sour or wild or any McKellar beers at all, it's literally just this smorgasbord of stuff.
Awesome.
Everything you could possibly want, and then the Uber was plentiful, so I could get a ride back no matter how much I had. So it was a lot of fun. Great people too, and it was just a neat space. So if you're ever in Copenhagen, I highly recommend going to check that out. Copenhagen as a whole, very cool beer city. But that was the one that kind of stuck out in my mind, although I've been to a lot of really good ones this year. It was hard for me to pick.
It's such a badass thing to say. Whenever you stop over to Copenhagen, check out these guys. That's cool.
Don't ever say no to a trip to Copenhagen. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely, yeah. Shano, picking a fan favorite by the sounds of it in the chat. What do you got going on here?
So I kind of looked at it from where did I go in 2015 a couple different times, and each time I went there, I was excited about going and knowing the beer selection is going to be great and awesome atmosphere. And really, I'm not sure if any place else has free stand-up arcade games. So I went with, for the best tap room, Night Shift Brewery, or brewing company out of Everett.
Nice.
I've still never been there.
Sweet. And are the arcade games there all the time?
Yes.
Oh man, free too.
And they're old school, like
Yeah.
old school games.
Nice.
Great upgrade for them. That's such an awesome place. I just want to say
And
that, and it's and you can smell peanut butter too, and it's right by a Best Buy, and it's pretty much the coolest brewery tap room ever. So, as far as
And
I'm
the beer is
concerned.
awesome.
Oh, the beer's fine. Oh yeah, the beer. Did I not mention it?
What did you say about peanut butter?
Yeah, it's right next to the Teddy Peanut Butter Factory,
Oh,
It's literally you walk across the street. That's right there.
and you can look into the cafeteria, and it's like okay, everyone's just eating peanut butter sandwiches. Like I would too, I guess. But Sean, thanks for that vote. BM, thoughts?
I have to go with Burlington, Vermont's Zero Gravity. I managed to make it up there on Memorial Day weekend. It was they had just opened up in their new spot. It is it's a good-sized tap room with these massive doors that open up onto their patio. It's got this very kind of modern feel, cement tables, cement bar. It's gorgeous. They had great music playing. Their merch is awesome. The brewer was out, talking to everybody. The owner was out talking to everybody. It was just like the weather that day. Everything just made it like a perfect experience, and I can't wait to get back up there. And the beer was fantastic too.
It's just kind of just like Portland, as you were saying. It's you can do so much in Burlington, and then you can just leave some places off. And I've yet to go there. I gotta get back up there because it's right across the street from a bunch of other places too. Like Queen City's there,
Right across the
Citizen Center's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. Because they used to be in Flatbread, right? In Burlington, yeah.
Yep.
Sweet. I had something from Burlington, but I'm not going to mention what, because this weekend I had somewhat of I think I saw Jesus, and he was pouring beer. Yeah, I had a revelation.
Was it a piece of toast?
Yeah, it was a burnt potato. I thought it was, No, so the reason why we're doing the show at the end of the year is to give everyone time to vote and to find things that they might not have had before. And I had the chance this weekend to go to the Hangar Pub and Grill, which is in the old Amherst Brewing Company building in Amherst, Massachusetts. And for anyone that knows the company Wings Over, they do chicken wings. Well, they're called the Hangar in Amherst, and they bought out the building that the Amherst Brewing Company was in and made their wings and their restaurant there. But they kept all the brewing equipment for Amherst Brewing Company, and they still brew out of the same place there. But what they added to the brewery was self-serve taps.
Ooh.
And what I thought was a super gimmicky, weird, kind of grungy move turned out to be one of the coolest things I've seen so far, and it really enlightened me.
How'd it work?
So it's called Flight School, and there's a picture on my Instagram. You can check it out. They call it Flight School, is where you can go sit down in the restaurant, or you can go hang out in the brewery area, and you put money on a card. You get 2 pints of beer as a quantity, and then there's screens on the tap board, and if the labels of beer are there, you press on the name of the beer. It gives you the description, ABV, all that good stuff, and you put your card in, you pour it, and then you pour as much as you want. They have like taster glasses. They had full pints. So if you just want to taste something, you can go ahead and taste it, because you only have up to 2 pints of beer per load, and once you run out, you just go refill it. And I thought it was super awesome.
So you refill your card like putting money like for an arcade.
So it's tied to your debit card, but it's a very cool thing. I was nervous that I'd be pouring foamy beer, but I never got a bad like pull of a beer. But it was super cool to be able to touch. It's kind of picture like a frozen yogurt place, like an Orange Leaf or something. As you go up to it, description's right there, but you can press it and say, okay, this Jess is an IPA with this. So it was very cool and in depth and super easy.
Could you get a swirly?
Yeah, you can mix it how you want, but I would, yeah. But it turned my dad, or I'd say my dad and Rick Brews on Twitter, my dad, and I went and we were trying to make a game of it as to who can pour exactly like 4 ounces and then like shut it off, and because it shows you how much you poured. It's pretty cool. I probably talked about it way too much, but if you guys get a chance to check out Hangar Pub and Grill, which inside is the Amherst Brewing Company, best tap room of the year, but it gets my vote, and that was just as of 2 days ago, so big time.
Brian, there was a question for the chat, and
Yep.
maybe you didn't see, or maybe they had rules that you read. Did they frown upon sticking your head under the tap?
there was no.
As they say in Encino Man, wheeze the juice.
Yes, I was gonna say, you want to know what? They did not mention that, but they literally had every other glass. Like they had a tulip glass, they had a shaker glass, they had a sample glass, they had an 8-ounce glass. So you could literally make your own flight, but you couldn't. They didn't say anything about sticking your head under there, so I don't know about that. Because it only checks for your card. It doesn't check if there's something under the tab. So you can just put your card in and just let it ride and with nothing under it. And 2 pints for my homies. Like, yeah. So that's gonna do it for the best tap room. Again, it's Zero Gravity, the Hangar Pub and Grill in Amherst, Massachusetts, McKellar and Friends in Copenhagen, and Night Shift in Everett. Zero Gravity is in Burlington, by the way. Sean, let's kick off best beer store. This is, I mean, these are arguments that are gonna go long, but everyone has their favorite. So what do you think of your favorite?
I just took the angle of take a look at New England and places that I've been to, places that I know that when I drive by I'm going to stop in because I know that their selection's going to be crazy. They have some amazing buying power, and some of the smaller breweries only sell in a couple places, and this is one of the places that they sell at. So I thought Redstone Liquors, which is the main store in Stoneham, they've opened, I think, 1 or 2 additional stores, one in Andover, and I think there might be another one. As a store, I would recommend for people to stop in and check out what they have, because usually they'll get, like, for example, Night Shift beer when no one else has it, and whatnot. So
I'll piggyback on that because this is the first time we've run on the same pick. So I also picked Redstone, and man, that store, we're in a different. So I'm in New Hampshire. For those that are listening to this for the first time or watching this, and the beer selection is getting there in New Hampshire, but you can't get a lot of the beers in the store in New Hampshire that you can get in Mass. And every time I think of a rare beer, or even a beer like a Jack's Abbey or a Night Shift that I want to go down and get, I head right on Redstone. They're awesome, and that new store is fantastic. So.
It's really I think for both of us, it's what's closer, what's
Sure.
closer to us, easier to get to type of deal too. So
Yeah.
there's plenty of other stores to visit. So
Totally. And yeah, and I think they're putting in if they haven't already, they're putting in taps there for tastings. I could be speaking wrong, but I believe they are. Anyway, if you get a chance, go to Stoneham, check it out. Ben.
So I'm actually surprised that I picked a New Hampshire establishment because New Hampshire, I don't know, it's not of like the 3 states around here. It's certainly not the one with the most options and the most choice, I suppose. And Maine and Massachusetts get everything before New Hampshire does also. That being said, I picked the Shiva Market in Somersworth, New Hampshire, formerly Somersworth Village Market.
I live there. Okay, I know this. Go
And
ahead.
before that, Cigarette City. However, it's just a convenience store, but they literally have the biggest selection in New Hampshire. They have everything. If it's out in New Hampshire, they've got it. They do Gary's in Portsmouth. They do Gary's style fire sales when stuff starts to get old. And the owner, every time I'm in there, asks me if I found what I wanted and if I need something, just to let him know, and he'll get it for me. I'm like, dude, you got everything here. You've got 14 or 15 coolers full of beer, not to mention like the dry racks with all the 22s on it. I'm like, pretty sure if I want it, you've already got it. So that's my pick for store.
Sweet. So that we have our 4. Nope, because Carla's got to go because I forgot that I took Sean's, or Sean took mine, vice versa. So Carla, round it out. So we have Redstone, we have Shiva Market in Somersworth. What do you got?
I have to just throw the name out there. Beer Cellar, BIER Cellar in Portland, Maine. Just a great. The people in there are really what do it for me. Like I can walk in having no idea what I want. I can ask them, hey, what's hot right now? What's basically nobody paying attention to, but they should, and they always have great recommendations for me. So they are my go-to, even though I don't live in Portland anymore. I'm a little outside of town. But just a nod of the hat to the Shiva Market, though. Mike's sister lives in Somersworth, right near there. She could basically walk to that place. We stopped in, and they do have probably the best selection I've seen of New Hampshire beer stores ever. So good
Nice.
on that.
Cheers indeed. Yep. So big shout out to Beer Cellar. We have some chat shout outs to Craft Beer Cellar as well. Solid store. They've been on the show as well, and ever expanding. So check them out. So again, the winners of the best beer store are Shiva Market in Somersworth, New Hampshire. Redstone Liquors in the main store is in Stoneham, and I believe there's one, Sean, in Andover, Reading.
yeah, yep.
Andover. And sorry, Beer Cellar in Portland, Maine. So there you go. There's 3 winners because Sean and I picked the same. So going to the next, the best bar, and I believe we're back to Ben on this one, which he left. So I'll kick it off and say, so again, this is best bar. This is kind of as it is. It's places that have enlightened us. And Arcadia, that I mentioned a little bit before, this year was a total mind blower to me. I'm a gamer. I play video games, I run, and I drink beer, and those are kind of my things. And Arcadia scratches 2 of those nerves. It's such a cool place. Video games and beer, perfect. And they also stream like video games on the TVs while you play, but they do it right. I'm super impressed with that place. I know, Carly, you've been.
I gotta get there.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
been.
I think, I mean, obviously there's places around the U.S. that do it. There's barcades and such, but to have a place this close to me to be able to play, old video games, even consoles and stuff, it was just such a cool place. And
They also do nights of board games and card games, and they'll have nights where they teach you how to play different things. And I think it's become like a little community niche we didn't know we needed, but it's awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's starting to spur other bars to kind of, even just sprinkle in the same thing, but not go all in as Arcadia did. So if anything, Arcadia is starting a trend to like bring more games into the bars, which is how it should be. You shouldn't just be sitting there drinking. You should be kind of doing something and playing a game or something like that. So I appreciate that. Carla, though, right down the street, what are we talking about here?
Oh, yeah. So I still have to throw it in for Novari Rez. I know they get a lot of accolades, but I still think they deserve them. Again, it's kind of like Beer Cellar for me. I can go in there with no idea what I want, and there's always something on the list that I haven't had, which is a feat in and of itself, just because of the amount of beer that I have in this state. And they have a dedicated local tap section too, so you can either go there for the crazy good Belgian stuff, or you can go there for the newest, hottest, latest, greatest Maine beers. And they always are the first to get kegs of anything you want. So I've gotten Deciduous up there. I've gotten a lot of stuff that is very limited release in Maine will show up there. So they're my go-to guys. I still love you.
Check out their poster for their New Year's Eve party too. It is awesome and hilarious. So I believe it's on Bookface.
Disconnected from the internet in the last couple of days. It's like ridiculous.
Oh yeah, check it out. So yeah, Novari, shout out. Shauna, what do you got?
I went with the direction of probably a place that many people haven't been to. It's different. I chose a speakeasy.
Whoa.
You have to know a password to get in, and when you get in, it's sort of a chill cocktail type environment. If the place fills up, they don't crowd it. I think they only have 6 or 8 beers on draft, so it's not really a big draft beer selection. They do cocktails. I mean, there's a lot of places to choose, but I chose 815, which is in Manchester. And if I had really never been to like the speakeasy type thing beforehand, but I always loved that concept of some place that you have to know, like it's. I mean, if anyone's listening, it's a phone booth. You have to pick up a phone and tell them the password over the phone. If you get the password wrong, you do not get in. And if you get the password right, all of a sudden the wall opens up.
That's cool.
How do you find the password?
They post it on Instagram and I think Facebook.
Cool.
So you have to use social media to be able to get there.
Wow,
or phone
that's
a
awesome.
friend.
Sweet. So that's 815 in Manchester?
Yep.
Lock it in. Ben, what do you got for best bar?
I picked York River Landing. It's on the Kittery York line here on the seacoast. Beautiful new place. It used to be a sort of tourist trap fried seafood crap restaurant called Bosun's Landing, and they ripped it down to studs. It's like I think they've been open for about a year and a half now. Nick there curates a fantastic, very diverse tap list. Great place to have a mug. Yeah, beautiful, and the food is fantastic. Yeah, York River Landing for me.
Sweet, great pick. So we got Ben coming in with York River Landing. I picked Arcadia Bar in Portland. Carla with Novari Rez Beer Cafe, and Sean with 815 the Speakeasy. Gotta get there. So that's
a couple chat votes too.
Oh yeah, whatever for the chat. Yeah, get in there.
Row 34.
Oh,
Ooh, yeah, let's go.
Lord Hobo.
Nice.
And Mead Hall.
Oh, good choices. Man, those are solid choices, and they're all close to each other too. That's badass. Except for Row 34 is it's not close to there at all. But now we're getting into it. We have best brewery name or best new brewery name. So these are breweries that coming in hot on the market with some weird names. And let's start with Ben. Ben, what's your best new brewery name?
I picked something that's kind of close to my heart. They're called Kayfabe Brewing out of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And I just love kayfabe is a wrestling term, and they have it's great to follow a beer Twitter account, which I suggest you follow. They're very funny, and they live tweet during Monday Night Raw and during all the pay-per-views and stuff. Haven't had any of their beers, can't speak on that, but that's a great name.
Awesome. Yeah, and then that's the one account I'll follow during pay-per-views too, because it's no one ever tweets about wrestling except those guys and me and you probably. So shout out to Kayfabe Brewing. I'm picking one that I believe is it's called. It's spelt hoof-hearted, but I'm pretty sure it's hoof-hearted. So, and I say best, but I really mean kind of most funny and kind of risky. But I don't know if anyone has any feedback as to how it's really pronounced.
I think that there has to be some. I think it's the inside joke of who farted, because the little icon of the goat with the little like tooth coming out of his butt. It looks like a fart.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that that's what it was intended to be. I think it's funny. It's a little juvenile, but I laughed, so I can't dock any points for creativity there. I laughed.
Yep. That's pretty much all I have. Who farted? So Carly had the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I picked for mine too, because I was trying to think of all the new breweries that opened in Maine this year and the last couple of years, and they've all been like very, very place based. We have like Lebec Brewing Company and Orono Brewing Company, so there's nothing like crazy, creative or interesting named, that at least that's opened recently. So I was drawing a little bit of a blank, but Hoof Fart is pretty funny.
Hey, Sean, you fart? I mean, it's your turn.
I was trying to figure out if there was a list of like all breweries that opened up in 2015.
I wish.
And it's very difficult. I mean, you can find it state by state. So I did some searches, and I found one that opened up in Mass called or that's opening up in Mass called Bone Up Brewing.
All right.
And I was always like, you got to bone up. So
where in Mass did you say?
Give me a sec, I'll tell you.
Oh, you didn't say.
I didn't say.
Nice one. Sean, while you're looking up, can I read the
You
chat?
can find them on boneup.beer.
Oh, boneup. Nice, they got the .beer. Good on them.
Exactly.
Sweet. What do you got?
They say Boston.
Okay, cool. So probably Acton.
Yeah.
I just throwing it. All right,
No,
sweet.
Everett.
Oh, so yeah. Thanks to Raising.
Norman
Yeah.
Street in Everett.
All right, nice. So yeah, Boston. That's Bone Up Brewing. What's the chat saying? What do we got?
There's some votes for Medusa Brewing Company.
Now, when Zach says Bone Up is down the road, does that mean they're down the road brewery, or it's down the road from Everett?
Exactly.
Oh boy.
Because
Who's
down
on
the road
first?
brewery is down the road from in Everett too, which is
Jake goes on
funny.
first. Sweet. Sweet shout out for Medusa. And yeah, it's awesome. So again, real quick, we're gonna go through these. We have Kayfabe Brewing, we have Who Farted, and we have Bone Up Brewing as the best brewery names of 2015 in our eyes. And we already got a retweet from Kayfabe Brewing, so they win the award straight out. So so let's go real quick into best tap room. There's only two. Oh no, there's only two that need to be answered, because this is best tap room in New England, and Ben and mine's answers from before, Zero Gravity and Hangar Pub and Grill in Amherst, were already named. So Carla and Sean, what are your best tap rooms in New England?
So I had to put a vote in for the new location of Oxbow that opened up in Portland called Oxbow Blending and Bottling. So essentially, it's not really their brewery, but it is a tap room for their brewery. That's where they do a lot of their barrel aging. It's kind of a big warehouse space. But what I really liked about it is that, it looks really cool in there. It's just this huge open building, but they've decorated it quite cool. But it's big enough that they've been able to host some really fun events in there. They had one night where they just had pie and fruit beer on. They had another night where they were watching, wrestling. They had another one where it was an art show. They had live music in there. They play movies. And it's another one of those spaces that kind of became, just in addition to a tap room, also became like a community space. And I think that's really cool, and it's nice to see them doing some creative events in there.
Awesome. And it is a great, I mean, you walk in there, this small door, and all of a sudden it opens up into this one of the biggest places ever. It's great.
I always feel like that's like a speakeasy. Like
it has that small open, like,
that's really hard to find, and it's one little door, and you walk in and you're like, oh yeah, I found the party.
Man, so cool.
They had a prom last year where everybody wore their prom dresses. It's just really fun.
Awesome. Sean never went to prom, so what was your pick for best tap room?
You don't want to be my date, Brian?
Yeah, you never asked. You never asked.
I went with the remodeled Earth Eagle Brewing Company, where they extended the bar, took down some walls, and added some additional space. It's a very cozy spot in Portsmouth. It doesn't. I mean, they probably double the amount of people that can be in the space, but it's not really that big, and it's very cozy. It's a good place to stop into anytime that you're in the Portsmouth area.
Great choice. Great choice. And I think that's going to be the only time we're going to see Earth Eagle in this award show. So we'll just say thanks for being in the award show for this one category, Earth Eagle. Shout outs in the chat. We have Jack's Abbey, their new tap room, which I've yet to go to. So Sean, have you been?
Yeah, it's massive.
Is it? Oh man, I keep hearing good things about it. Looks sweet.
And it's picnic table style.
Oh, I dig. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
So you're sitting around friends and strangers.
Awesome.
Nice.
So the best tap rooms in New England awards go to Zero Gravity in Burlington, the Hangar Pub and Grill in Amherst, Mass, Oxbow in Portland, and Earth Eagle in Portsmouth. So shout outs to them. One more category, and then we're getting into really the stuff that we shouldn't even be voting on because we know better than that. But last but not least in the fun categories is best beer travel. I will kick it off by saying I took the pilgrimage any beer geek must take once in their life. I took a trip out to Russian River Brewing in San Francisco, and again, you walk in there, not overwhelming. It's kind of a place that you can walk into anywhere. But again, you're there at Russian River, the home of Pliny the Elder. The tasting platter is all 24 of their beers, each with their individual caps in front of their tasting glass. Truly is a sight for sore eyes. It is awesome. Check it out if you ever get a chance to go to San Francisco. Russian River is the place to be. Yeah, we literally, our plane landed in October, and we just drove right up there. We said we're going right there. It was awesome. Carla.
I gotta say, this year's Beer Bloggers Conference was down in Asheville, North Carolina, so it gave me an actual reason to go down there this summer. And just the density of breweries in this one particular neighborhood just made it so fun. There was actually a place where it just had breweries, and it had like arrows going in like every direction, so you can walk between all these places. There's the Funkatoriums down there. There were a whole bunch, and they all had that kind of like outdoor seating, picnic tables, whatnot, and it was just really fun. There's beer everywhere you turn there. You can't not find good craft beer in Asheville, North Carolina, so that was very cool. And not to mention Sierra Nevada.
Yeah, that was an impressive establishment.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
It feels like you're at like the Wilderness Lodge at Disney World.
Yeah, it really felt like
What a comparison.
one of those like cars that you like ride through it and they're like running and stuff. It's so cool.
Asheville, it's like Disneyland.
Yeah. It's
Disney World, excuse me.
It's humid beer Disneyland.
Awesome. Shano, what's up?
I joined Carla on the trip to Asheville, and I thought it was an awesome trip. But the return trip for me to Portland, Oregon for the Craft Brewers Conference, it was a fun chance to get back there for a second time, see some old friends, meet some new friends, visit the Commons Brewing Company or Commons Brewery and Space Camp, and visit all some of the old haunts that are, what's the bar with Return to Bailey's Tap Room was really fun for me. So so that was a really good trip for 2015 for me, and I really liked that a lot.
I mean, that's a damn good trip to get out there. Portland. I mean, so far we've listed 3 big ones. I don't know what Ben wrote. So Ben, best beer travel. What do we got?
So I didn't do much traveling outside of New England at all. So I'm just gonna go with my trip to the British Virgin Islands, where I drank my weight in Caribe, and so I picked Joost Van Dyke, which is an island that has like a handful of people on it, one beach with 5 different bars that all serve 3 different types of basically the same beer. But it was gorgeous, and I'm satisfied.
Awesome. Is it Joost?
Joost Van Dyke.
Joost. Right. All right, sweet. So you have Joost Van Dyke from Ben. Russian River trip for me. Again, this is all personal stuff. But Carla, Asheville, North Carolina, and Shano, we got the Portland, Oregon trip. So those are their best trips. All right. gloves are coming off. It's time to pick the best beers of New England. We have a category for each state, and then we also have breweries after that. So we're going to go through this. Again, there are runners-up with everyone, but again, we're trying to force ourselves to pick one that we like above the rest. You hear us, if you guys listen to watch the show, disclaimer, we talk about all these breweries all the time, that we don't like one beer more than the other. We just pick one
These
for...
were really hard to pick, so have
Yes,
some
it's-
pity on us if we didn't pick the ones you thought we should.
Exactly. We're trying to break that wall of trying to be pro everybody, and we're picking this one this one time until next year. So let's start with best beer in New Hampshire. Who wants to start? Oh, Carla. Let's start with Carla, and then we'll start with Sean in the next category. What do you got?
Sorry, I'm just watching things on my list move around.
What's
Stop.
it-
Stop.
Who's moving stuff?
No, but New Hampshire, I had to go with Kelson Double Battle Axe. This summer I went out, did a kind of mini tour around New Hampshire, and Kelson Brewing Company just had some really amazing hoppy beers. And that Double Battle Axe, I think being their double IPA, just awesome. Really well executed, totally sticky, piney, awesome beer. Loved it.
Excellent. That's a fantastic brew.
I decided to go down the route of a beer in New Hampshire that I probably drink more often than not. When it's available is Stoneface IPA.
Great one.
For me, it's whenever it's on tap, I gotta drink it. Earth Eagles New England Gangsta.
Man, that's solid brewski. And which is crazy. I was just gonna say we all pick New Hampshire beers, but that's the damn category. How many more of these we got left? Cool. I don't know. No, so I went with Garrison City Chaos. So Garrison City is just over a year old, and their Chaos Double IPA is one of the greats. And kudos to them for having one of the better hoppy beers that in my eyes. Get in there. So we have best beers in New Hampshire. We have New England Gangsta from Earth Eagle Brewing Company. We have Chaos from Garrison City Beer Works in Dover, New Hampshire. We have Kelson Double Battle Axe from Kelson. Is it Londonderry, Sean?
Yes.
Yes.
Londonderry, New Hampshire, and Newington's own Stoneface IPA.
Also very good. Yeah.
Which is, so all damn tasty, and all of which are hoppy. So shame on all of us for picking hoppy beers.
Ah,
Do you want a couple chat comments from?
yeah.
Hit it with chat comments. Best New Hampshire beer.
There's From the Barrel MK Double IPA.
Ooh.
Mention Smarty Nose Really Old Brown Dog mention, and yes, that's it.
Awesome. So let's go to best beer in Maine. This is Carla's favorite category because she has 1,000 to choose from, 1,000,000 to choose from even. But Sean, let's kick it off with you. What did you vote for as your personal favorite for Maine beer?
I really had a good time this summer drinking some Maine Island Trail Ale. By Rising Tide. It comes in a 16-ounce can. Had it in some cans. Had it also in draft. Very drinkable session IPA. Really good hop presence. It's only available, I think, about 5 to 6 months of the year.
All right. Sweet deal. That goes down easy too. It's a good beer.
Yeah, it does. It's a good one for a hot day.
Totally. Side note: have you been to the new tap room yet, Carla? Since they've
No, I still haven't. I just came back from all my, family travels, but I'm really hoping to get down there maybe this week. So
sweet.
it looks really cool in the pictures, though. Yeah.
Let's go over to Ben. Ben, favorite beer or best beer in Maine? What are you thinking?
That's an easy one for me. It's got to be Bissell Brothers Baby Genius. Somehow they have packed in the best session IPA, the most flavor into a low ABV beer. It's outstanding. No question for me.
No question. Awesome. So I'm going to go with the Foundation Prototype, which I had.
Which one?
It was the black IPA. Yeah, so the one we had at the main takeover at the place that was downstairs that we couldn't get into first.
Oh, at Central Provisions.
Yes. So, and I did not even realize they had multiple ones of those. So I'll make sure that answer's changed. But it was the black, the Cascading Dark Ale version of the Prototype Foundation. Best black IPA if there was a category, it'd be there too. It is such a good beer. But again, to hear all the hubbub about Epiphany and such, you're overlooking Prototype. Check out Prototype if you can. It's really good beer. Carla, it's your turn for your state. Don't make them mad here.
Yeah, I had to go with. I'm a big fan of the Rising Tide Maine Trail Ale, and that I've named previously as one of my favorite beers of the year. But this year I really found myself gravitating towards Rising Tide's Calcutta Cutter, which is their like really dank, awesome IPA, very very hoppy, but so well balanced. That they release a couple batches per year, and every batch was just was able to get it fresh. And it kind of made my year whenever I found it anywhere. So I'm all about the Kata.
Awesome.
Kata. But many obviously runners-up, and all of the ones that I rant and rave about all year long are all deserving of that. But if I had to pick one that I really got a kick out of this year, it would be Calcutta.
Excellent. Sean, what we got in the chat? Anything crazy?
Oh, yeah. So in the chat, there's some mentions of Farm to Face by Allagash.
Oh, also delicious.
Dinner from Maine Beer Company.
Yeah.
And Foundation Epiphany.
Excellent. Great choices. So again, the 4-pack winner of the best beer in Maine. We have Baby Genius out of Bissell Brothers. We have Foundation Prototype Cascadian Dark Ale version, the Rising Tide Calcutta Cutta, and the Rising Tide Maine Island Trail Ale. So pick that up in your store. A little 4-pack action there. I'll kick off the best beer in Massachusetts. I hail from that state originally. This was a tough one because I think the state is blowing up, and Western Mass isn't getting the love yet. But if you guys go to Western Mass, there's a ton of good stuff. I did not pick a Western Mass brewery. I just want to give a shout out to the Western Mass side. I picked Night Shift Santilli. Ever since I picked that up in cans, when it first came out, it's kind of like my go-to post-run beer. Ben and I have had a couple after running, and it just seems to be kind of like the perfect. There it is, right there, Shano. Yes. So there's something about Santilli and Night Shift. I dig it. So that's my pick for best beer in Mass this year. Let's go to Carla.
I had to go with Treehouse. The one that I've run into most frequently over the years has been Treehouse Green. Obviously, another hop. I'm looking at my list now, and I realize I've been a little hop obsessed this past year. So, almost a lot of my choices that I've said so far and that are coming up happen to be really hoppy. But I honestly have not been drinking a lot of Mass beer in favor of what's going on in Maine. So I'm sure there are more out there, especially things from like Night Shift and Trillium that. Had I got a chance to try them, they would probably be higher up on my list too.
Nice. And hey, shout out to Western Mass too. We have another shout on the chat, right,
no,
Sean?
Carla, are you familiar with the No IPA challenge?
No.
It's the challenge to try to go 30 days without having an IPA.
Oh, I could try that.
I think BM Watts, you did that once.
I can try that and report on that. You could follow.
I've heard that it's
hard.
You can get past like the first week, and then all of a sudden you're like, IPAs are like right everywhere you go.
I could do that for January. That was maybe I need to do that.
I mean, or open up like 2 months ago's Herald, where Ben Watts wrote his post on going IPA free for 30 days. How'd it work, Ben?
Oh, it was easy.
Easy peasy. Sweet deal.
If you want to get someone who tried it, BMX Frank.
BMX Frank, all right.
Yeah, BMX Frank picked up the hashtag.
Oh, nice one. He did.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So let's go to Shano, best brewski.
As you know, there's so many different beers to choose from. I went down the sour road, and I selected Intergalactic Acid by Haverhill Brewing Company. I don't know if you've had it before. It's a sour mash that they let sit for, I think, at least 24 to 36 hours. And it's nice and tart, low ABV, about 3.2%, but it's sour.
Excellent.
It's in your face.
I don't know about that. I'm scared of that one.
It's delicious.
Delicioso.
I gotta put in a quick plug here for. I have to say, having the supporter account on Untappd really helped me with my nominations because I could export all this to
So,
an Excel file and then sort by rating, sort by state. It really helped me kind of narrow some of these down. That being said, my highest rated beer in Massachusetts was Trillium's Sleeper Street. I think
Nice.
it also was the double dry hopped version, but that was great.
Awesome. So we have Trillium. We also have a nomination for Trillium's is it Archaic? We also have a Good Morning by Treehouse in there, and this is the chats. So yeah, this is badass. So we have some good nominations. So again, top 4 picks: Sleeper Street by Trillium, Night Shift Santilli, Treehouse Green, and Haverhill Intergalactic Acid get the votes of the best beers in Massachusetts. That's pretty cool. Connecticut, a tough state for everybody because I don't get a lot up here. Not a lot of us might have not had many beers there or from there. So I went
Not a
with
lot of breweries either.
that's true, but I went with one that Ben you got me, which I happen to cling to, is a sweet stout. It was called Big Bad Bunny by Steady Habit Brewing Company, and it was awesome. I remember you giving
How
me
was the label on that?
It was a growler, so it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was
But
just
the
a
label
logo.
for
It
that
was still a
would be
pretty sweet growler, if I remember
They're
right.
pretty solid.
Yeah, but yeah, Ben, it was you said it's kind of a small operation, but it was a pretty kick-ass beer.
Yeah, they're some new guys doing some good stuff. They're one of those breweries that was great when we went there. They were like, we're really open to suggestion. We're new at this. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. We're open to change. And I really appreciated that. Good dudes.
But that said, that could be scary too if someone comes off to you like that. But they're still doing good stuff with their beer.
Yeah.
What'd you pick, Ben? Let's switch over to you.
I picked a New Hampshire expat, as a matter of fact. We all shed a few tears when Tyler left us at the Portsmouth Brewery and went off to Connecticut to start his own. But it meant more distribution for him, and that's a great thing. And I was happy that he took Ginger Ninja down from his recipe from Portsmouth Brewery and started it down there in Connecticut. And it was one of my favorite beers up here. And now I'm happy to be able to drink it in cans from Connecticut. So Ginger Ninja is my Connecticut pick.
Sweet label too.
Yeah, great artwork.
Awesome. So Carla, what are you thinking?
Gotta say, that just because they started distributing in Maine is how I got this in the first place, is Two Roads Brewing Company out of Connecticut. They have several different ones. I've only had 1 or 2 up here, but Road to Ruin is their double IPA, and wow. That's another one that comes in those 16-ounce can, 4-packs, delicious. If you're into that, try it. I have not really had much else out of the portfolio, but I was really impressed with Road to Ruin from Two Roads.
I just had that Saturday myself. It was super good beer. Yeah. Shano, sup?
I went down the crazy angle of that. Is the beer from the brewery that actually says they operate in one state, or it's actually brewed in the state?
Okay.
I chose Super Fresh by Peak Brewing Company, which is actually brewed at Two Roads Brewing in Connecticut. They do not brew it in Maine. So I chose a crazy wild card.
I don't accept
Peak
it,
Super
but
Fresh.
I do not accept that answer, but that's fine.
But there was an answer from the chat too, which went down the same angle.
Yeah, that's true.
That Sip of Sunshine by Lawson's is also created in
I
Connecticut.
picked Pliny the Elder because someone shipped it to me from there in a beer trade.
All of the bottles,
I didn't know that.
not the draft, the bottles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There you have it. So yeah, so there's our votes for the best beer of Connecticut. We have Ginger Ninja from Black Hog. We have Big Bad Bunny Sweet Stout from Steady Habit Brewing. We have Two Roads, Road to Ruin Double IPA, and Peak Super Fresh. So good stuff. Anything else in the chat that we missed, Sean?
I don't know if Sinister Kid is a beer or OEC Albus is a beer, but Geyser Goes from Two Roads Evil Twin collab was mentioned.
Sweet. Now we're going to Rhode Island, and this is where it gets even tougher because, yeah, again, small state.
It is a beer by Trillium Brewing Company.
Okay, so yeah, so that goes back to the previous category, Mass. Cool.
He has a Black Keys song, I believe, too.
Oh. Oh, so now we're doing song requests in the chat. I'll play those after. God. Next song. No. So we're going to Rhode Island. I'll start off with mine. I'm a huge Robust Porter fan. Anything dark and super roasty, I'm into. And I think Foolproof really knocked out of the park, or they continue to knock it out of the park with their Rain Cloud Porter. And yeah, they did step it up a bit with their Peanut Butter Rain Cloud, but I still believe that one of the better darker beers in New England belongs to the Foolproof Rain Cloud. It's such a great beer.
Which was episode something.
Yeah, geez, yeah, it was top in the Wayback Machine. Carla?
I had to I had to excuse myself from this category because I can't remember, other than Narragansett, a Rhode Island beer that I've had in this past year. So I probably could look through my Untapped and find one. However, if it wasn't memorable enough to remember, then I probably shouldn't be voting for it. So I did not.
Yeah.
This is the only category in which I did not pick something because I really felt like whatever I came up with would not be genuine. Like
Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island.
And just following with Brian, I chose Foolproof Peanut Butter Rain Cloud.
Good stuff. And we were just talking about it in the chat. Ken in the chat was saying it's good. Great balance. I'm saying like there's some peanut butter beers that can either be one way or the other. Perfecto.
The most well-known one, and I think we've talked a little bit on the show at one point.
Yeah.
The most well-known one is from Duke Law Brewing called Sweet Baby Jesus. That's sort of over the top peanut buttery.
And Ben gave me one
more subtle.
Yeah, Ben, you gave me a peanut butter one. I forget what was it called. Goat.
Yeah, goat something or other. I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah, it tastes like way too much peanut butter. What'd you pick, Ben, for your best Rhode Island beer?
I picked Gray Sail's Captain's Daughter. It's a solid
Yes.
solid IPA. Yeah.
Captain's Daughter in the can.
Yeah.
Sweet. So we have best Rhode Island beers. We have Captain's Daughter, Gray Sail. We have Foolproof Rain Cloud and Peanut Butter Rain Cloud, and we have nothing, which means Carla's gonna go to Rhode Island right now. That's all right. Now moving on to our final state in New England. Last stop is Vermont, the state that is getting crazier and crazier by the day. I will kick it off and say I gave mine to Sip of Sunshine, and again that's the Lawson's collab with who, Sean? Or is it just Lawson's?
No, it's not a collab.
What am I thinking of?
Well, it's brewed also in Connecticut.
Right, that's
What you're thinking of is
it's not a collaboration. It's brewed at Two Roads.
Lawson has two collaborations with Otter Creek.
No, that's not. No, that's definitely not what I'm talking about.
Which is my selection. Sorry if we can skip your Carla for a moment. My selection is Otter Creek Double Dose,
Okay.
which is a collaboration with Lawson's Brewery.
All right.
With Lawson's, so it kind of ties it in that way.
Well, two Lawson's action. Nice. Yeah, big fan of Sip of Sunshine. Big fan of the Double Dose. Ooh, Ben, what do we got?
Oh man, 4 Quarters Moscow Mule was awesome. It had these great. I think it was aged in. Maybe it had like it was aged. I want to say vodka, something. I don't know. You know what? It was fucking delicious.
Yeah. What do you want from us? Jeez. We just drink.
I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of cocktails, and I loved we'll talk about it later. But I love when people put like a cocktail spin on beers. I think that's really fun. Sometimes it really hits, and sometimes it misses the mark. I can think of Smutty Nose for Julio's did the Fashionably Old. Their sort of spin on an old fashioned in a beer. I think that's a cool thing to try and capture in a beer. So, and 4 Quarters is just an awesome tiny little spot in Winooski. Had a great time there.
Oh yeah,
good dudes there too.
And last but not least, Carla, what do you think of her best beer in Vermont?
I originally had Sip of Sunshine, but if that's made in Connecticut, I'm changing my mind. So now,
well, it's originated in Vermont.
Because I had Sip of Sunshine for literally the first time, 2 days ago.
In a bottle?
Really, really liked it.
Was it in a bottle?
No, it was on tap.
Ooh.
That was probably made in Vermont.
Okay, so I'll keep that.
No. What'd you pick? What'd you go back to?
I switched to Hill Farmstead Edward because that's another one that's just
Solid.
so damn good. And when somebody brings a growler of it to a party, you're just like, oh, hi, yay, you brought, yeah.
What parties you going to where people bring that?
Uh,
That's the best.
Actually, there are a lot of Portland beer geeks that go up to Hill Farmstead and get tons of stuff, and then they'll bring it, and then people. It's kind of funny because everybody here will have the rare Maine Beer Company and Allagash stuff, and then they'll bring the Vermont stuff. It's kind of a one-upmanship thing. It's funny, and yet we all get to reap the benefits of drinking good beer.
Yes. Awesome. So, so we have other shout-outs in the chat. We have Second Fiddle from Fiddlehead. Great choice.
Civil Disobedience, sorry.
Yeah, no, Civil Disobedience, also from Hill Farmstead, and Arthur from Hill Farmstead. So big shout-outs. Oh, and Flora. Yeah, so yeah, Hill Farmstead.
Ooh, yes.
Fiddle action.
I think my challenge is that, for me, I didn't drink a lot in 2015 of Hill Farmstead.
I was going to say, wait, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, and I have, and because Vermont is very, they keep their beer to themselves a lot. Not a lot of the breweries in Vermont distribute outside of the state, so it is hard to get your hands on a lot of really good Vermont beer unless you actually go there.
Truth. So that again, that's going to round out the Vermont beers. We have Four Quarters Moscow Mule. We have Lawson Sip of Sunshine. We have Hill Farmstead Edward, and we have Otter Creek Double Dose. Let's move on to now the general categories. This is the best dark beer. So beer that's not light, beer that's dark. Could be anything. Let's see what we got going on. Let's start with Ben. What do we got, Ben?
So again, when I was talking about the Untapped exporting, I only rated 2 beers 5 stars this year. Both of them were from the Portsmouth Brewery, and awesome. One of them that I'm picking for this is their Double Oaked Royal Impy Stout. From this year. It was an absolute dream. It was fantastic. And the other was like a 2012 Kate that they had on this year.
Of 2015, but yeah, we got both for 2012 beer. It's awesome. Good stuff. I'm right next to you, so I voted Portsmouth as well. One of the better black IPAs / Cascading Dark beers in the area, if not this East Coast, is the Portsmouth Brewery Night Nurse. So if you guys ever, I believe it's on now, or it's being brewed now, last I checked. Portsmouth Brewery Night Nurse, fantastic beer. One of the better dark beers Portsmouth has done since I've been around here, so I've checked that out. And it's a great name, Night Nurse. So, Carla, what are you thinking?
So mine isn't a stout, but a barley wine. Sebago Brewing Company just under the wire in 2015 released their barley wine for the year, and I just think Sebago Brewing Company's barley wine is awesome. This year, instead of the big 750 bottles, they're doing it in 2 packs of cans. So they've got them like one on top of the other, like kind of vacuum sealed together, which I think is an interesting presentation. I've only had it on tap. I have not added it out of the cans yet, but it's oaky and vanilla and just awesome. But it's really high in alcohol. It's something like 11.2 or 11.8, and so that'll warm you up if you need something to cuddle up with during a snowstorm.
Awesome.
Love it.
Shawno, what do you love?
I went sort of to your most or least favorite day, and I didn't actually have it on Black Friday of this year. I had it earlier in the year, but I chose Goose Island's Bourbon County Coffee Stout.
Ooh.
Which I love the original standard. It's a solid beer. But the coffee stout kind of gives a little extra twist to it that I was like, okay, it's my nomination for the year.
It's awesome. I wish I could have found that. I was up in Littleton. I found the regular, the Bourbon County brand stout. But yeah, no coffee. Wah, wah. But yeah, so best dark beer. Oh, we have some chat nominations too, of course. The chat is going for Crasher in the Rye from Clown Shoes and Vanilla Barrel Aged Framing Hammer by Jack's Abbey. Both stellar picks.
Oh yeah.
God, all those Framing Hammers.
Jack's Abbey on this list, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They deserve some more love. I think
true.
They're not.
So what's that a new category? Best Jack's Abbey.
Yes.
Yeah. PB and J.
Oh, let's go. now the gloves are off. So again, we have Portsmouth Double Oaked Royal Impy Stout. We have Portsmouth Brewery Night Nurse, Sebago Barley Wine, and Goose Island Bourbon County Coffee Stout as the best dark beers as voted on the show. Let's go to the category where everyone's waiting for, because we're all talking about IPAs this year and last year and probably for years to come. Hops are ruling the world. So let's start with Carla on this one. What is your favorite IPA this year that you've had?
Hands down, Foundation Epiphany is just the perfect, in my mind, version of an IPA. I can drink multiple of them because they're not too heavy, but at the same time they're just so flavorful. They've won really acclaim for just being able to pump it out exactly the same each time. Awesome beer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And those lines out the door, crazy.
They should be.
And you get growlers of it too, which not a lot of bigger beers you can do that. So it's awesome.
And they've made some expansion in the past year to kind of up that capacity. But they kind of became the sleeper, right? Everybody's lining up for Bissell Brothers all the time, and they came out with Epiphany, and first weekend of that they were like, oh, okay, yeah, we didn't really sell out, and they found a following. Like the people who had Epiphany were telling other people like, oh my God, have you had Epiphany?
Yeah.
So it's become, I think a darling of Maine beer, and it deserves to be.
Awesome. Shano, you got to pick one. What do we got here?
I'm going to go with the one that I probably drank the most of all IPAs in 2015, which was Founders All Day IPA.
Solid beer.
And even over the holiday, when you pick up a 15-pack and you're in for a long day, having a couple all day IPAs, and it's just a great way to just have a beer in your hand, something hoppy, something easy to drink, and knowing that you're going to be able to keep a pace.
Yeah, that all day is very good. Big fan. Ben Watts.
I'm going right alongside there with Carla. Hashtag DatPiff. Love it.
Oh boy! I was like, wait, I was trying to untap that beer. Like, what is that beer you're talking about?
No, that's a nickname for it around here.
DatPiff, EPiff. All right, sweet. So Ben and Carla with the samesies vote, and I'm going for the Earth Eagle Brewing's New England Gangsta West Coast IPA. No description needed. It's the best IPA on the planet. So you have it there. The best IPAs category is going to be we have Epiphany, DatPiff from Carla and Ben. We have Earth Eagle Brewing's Gangsta from myself, and Sean voted for the Founders All Day. What's the chat talking about, Shano?
They're saying Julius, Green and Hayes, Hop Showers from Other Half Brewing.
Okay.
It's kind of the direction they're going in.
If there's a category for most tweets I've seen, it would be of Julius or Green, like Instagram photos of just people waiting in line and just chugging Julius and Green. But awesome. Now we're going for best non-beer before we get into the best brewery category. So now this is the last time we get to have a little fun before again we get to name our favorite breweries ever. Best non-beer is just that. It could be cider. Could be mead, could be anything.
Could be a flavored malt beverage.
Could be a flavored malt beverage. Sean, do you want to kick it off?
I will kick it off.
What do you got?
I chose something I tried for the first time this year, out of Vermont, which is called Mac and Maple by Champlain Orchards. It was a standard cider that had maple syrup in it, so it was a little bit sweet, and it had a little bit of little bit of that grittiness to it, and it was just a delicious cider. And I think you can actually find it in a couple different states too. So it's
nice.
It's quite available if you're out there looking for it.
Sweet. And maple syrup, I'm all down. So we can put that on some pancakes.
Definitely.
Let's go. Ben.
For me, and going back pre Thanksgiving last year, I would have been the biggest cider naysayer you would have met on the planet. Couldn't get into it. I maybe liked Magners here and there, something like that. But just down the road from me in New Hampshire, North Country opened up Thanksgiving of last year. It has absolutely just changed my mind on ciders. They make like one cider that's in the traditional cider sense, and then 5 others that are just like really pushing the envelope for. Well, I don't even know if you can call it pushing the envelope, because nobody was really doing a lot with ciders outside of just kind of making a sort of safe sort of general cider. But so I'm sorry, it's kind of long-winded. But my pick, North Country did a dark and cidery, which is their spin on, as I was saying before, kind of cocktail spin on a dark and stormy. So it's got this great ginger flavor to it, a little bit of lime in there. It was just absolutely fantastic, perfect cider for me.
Awesome one. Good choice. And right alongside that, I'm going with the same North Country, their fire starter. Cinnamon, spice, and literally everything nice. It's such an awesome. It's a great cider, and some batches are spicier than others. Depending on where you get it. If you get it at the brewery, or if you get it on draft somewhere else, their fire starter is top notch. But yeah, that dark and cidery is.
I think I had that during Portsmouth Beer Week at the Coat of Arms.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
There's some that you can
like
get that are spicy. Yeah, but it's great, and yeah, those guys are great. Carla.
So I had to pick. There's a cider called Bantam, and they have one called the American. And the reason I picked this is it's a cider that tastes like the apple pie that I make. They make it with similar apples to the profile, and it's got a lot of like real subtle cinnamon in it. So it's rather sweet, but it's not like that apple juice sweet. It's like an apple pie sweet. And it's not that I would have 3 or 4 of them in a row, but I really enjoyed the taste of it, and it reminded me of my apple pie.
Most excellent.
Mm-hmm. It's in a blue can if you ever were looking for it.
You said blue can?
Blue can, yeah.
Blue can. All right, sweet. Sean, anything from the chat before we move on?
Yeah, we're getting some mentions of Down East. And in general, someone mentioned Down East Cider's Hard Lemonade.
Oh.
Barn Dance by Cold Hollow Cider Mill. Those are some that were mentioned.
Cool. Good stuff. Sean, I know you're going to mention Not Your Father's Root Beer, but I made you change it. I'm kidding. I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say that. Let's go now. And now it's time for the best breweries. We're near the end. We have the final categories here where we name our best breweries, best new brewery, and best beer of 2015. Let's kick it off with the best brewery of New Hampshire. Because I hail in that state, I will take the ball and start with that. Again, disclaimer for all these. We love all breweries, or you guys know which breweries we talk about a lot. We're just picking one brewery because we think they're awesome. And my best brewery pick for 2015 in New Hampshire is Earth Eagle. No surprise there. If you see me check in on Untapped, I'm there pretty much twice a week. There's again zero surprise that Earth Eagle has stepped it up this year and continues to step it up. Their beers are ridiculous. Their tap room is amazing, as Sean mentioned. And, Earth Eagle, let's go. Carla.
For me, I had to go with Smutty Nose / Smut Labs. And I know that's technically 2 kind of breweries. They're sister breweries. They're sub-breweries of one another, whatever. But I had more stuff this year from like Smut Labs that was just super creative, really interesting.
Yeah.
We weren't afraid to try random weird things, and I just really liked it. I had the smoked peach short weiss was really good, just really different, interesting. They had the Frankenlager. There were just a lot of things that it just kind of demonstrated to me that they can do a lot of different types of beer well. And also I got a chance to go see their brewery, so that was fun as well. But I just gotta give them props. I think because they've been around a long time, people kind of ignore them a little bit, and they've been turning my head. So
yeah,
good job.
Yep, doing big things with their new space. Yeah, and just have you tried that the Rocky Road one yet?
No, I have not tried that yet, but
pretty good.
And I will say that there are a lot of small breweries in New Hampshire that are doing really good high quality stuff, but they'll have maybe one flagship that's awesome. You know what I mean? This is just the breadth of what these guys are doing is impressive to me. So.
Sure. Shano, what do we got?
I went down the same route as you and selected Earth Eagle. Every time you go in there, there's a new beer of something that you've never had before. Very different things that they're brewing with that are very non-standard ingredients, and it is the brewery that I made a collaboration beer with for the past couple years. So, Earth Eagle is my selection.
Most excellent, and interestingly enough, Ben, you picked something way different than all of us. What'd you pick?
I did. I went out on a limb here. I picked a huge conglomerate brewery called Earth Eagle. Out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Actually, Smutty Nose / Smut Labs was a close second for me. If this had been 2014, I probably would have picked that. But 2015 for me was the year of Earth Eagle. Fantastic.
Most excellent. So again, that is best breweries of New Hampshire as voted by the podcast. 3 votes for Earth Eagle and a huge vote and a hallelujah in the chat and by Carla for Smutty Nose and Smut Labs. A brewery that is not like I was just about to type in the chat, but I'll just say it here is they're keeping up with competition, but they're also showing the new guys like, listen, we can hang just with you here, and they're doing big things just as well. So shout outs to them. New Hampshire is in the books. It is in gold as I highlight it, which means you can't. Votes are locked. Let's go to best brewery in Maine, and who better to start with than the person that talks about Maine and can't make up her mind about her favorite.
I probably changed this 7 times while I was filling this out originally, and I'm not changing it now. But it's kind of the same argument that I have for Smutty Nose Smut Labs is Rising Tide. So they have, at the same time as they're kind of rocking their flagship beers, they are doing a lot in their tasting rooms for small batch stuff. They are releasing new beers. Their Goza is amazing. They did a coffee porter this year called Waypoint that was excellent. And that they can do a session IPA just as well as they can do, this, like something like Ursa Minor, which is the wheat stout. So their quality has never wavered in all of the expansions that they've gone through the past couple of years, and I just I really tell people that if you're going to Portland, do not skip Rising Tide when you visit there. So hats off to them, and they have a new tasting room now that I was mentioning before. I haven't been to yet, but it's supposed to be bigger, cooler, and more able to get more beer to more people. So
absolutely, Rising Tide, one of the greats. Shano, what do we think of our best brewery in Maine?
Well, I went for the direction of a new brewery in Maine, but not necessarily new to the brewing scene. There was a lot of hype before they actually got started and opened their facility, and have created or actually brought a very enthusiastic brewing very enthusiastic brewing community in southern Maine with Tributary.
Awesome. Big fan. And it's one of those breweries that I need to go there more often because it's right there in Kittery. There's so much stuff going on in Kittery, so that's a great place. Big shout outs to them. Trib, Ben, what are you thinking?
I won't. Spoiler alert. I'll get into it later when we talk about best beer of 2015. But Bissell Brothers was my pick for Maine.
Excellent.
For reasons we'll talk about later.
Duns and duns. So Ben picked Bissell Brothers, and I'm going with a brewery that literally, if I see them on tap anywhere, no matter what beer it is, I'm going for it. It's Band and Horn Brewery. I cannot get enough of their Pepperell Pilsner. I swear by the style, and I'll always at least start with that. If I see it on the list, pick it first, and then I'll use that as my look through the beer list. Beer, it's such a good beer. But yeah, they're doing big things, and Sean and I went to their tap room a couple months ago, and it was great. Band and Horn is my pick.
I'm looking forward to whenever Tom Bull opens his new place down there. Not Deciduous. I'm sorry, Dirigo. Because they're going to be basically around the corner from one another, so it'll be a nice kind of trifecta of breweries down there that you can check out. Band and Horn, Barreled Souls, and Dirigo like all in one shot, which would just be really cool. But I gotta agree with you. Band and Horn has been putting out some cool stuff. I like their Wicked Bueno. Did you have any of that?
I did. I had it. I got it at Kansas 7-Eleven. Yes, awesome. It was Wicked Bueno. That's the. What is this beer? Oh yeah, it is good. Yeah. So our votes for best Maine beer breweries go to Bissell Brothers, Band and Horn, Rising Tide, and Tributary. So Portland area, Kittery area. So huddle up around there. Let's start off with Shano with this one. So best breweries in Massachusetts. Again, big state, long state. What are we doing here, Sean?
Well, after all the other ones that I mentioned so far, and really can't go too deep, more further into it, I chose Night Shift Brewing Company.
Nice.
Love awesome. The arcade, love the beer, love the environment,
love the peanut butter.
Place.
I mean, Sean's gonna be close proximity
Close to
any
peanut butter, then I'm happy.
That's it. Yeah, and a sweet Sky Zone trampoline park. I know you go there. Anyway, all right. Sweet vote for Night Shift there. Ben, what do we got for your vote for best brewery in Massachusetts 2015?
For me, it's going to be Notch. Big fan of Notch. Can't wait for the tap room to open next year.
Yes. Did you see the picture of that? The picture of that brewery?
Yeah.
My word. That looks crazy. All right. I went ahead and did Iron Duke out of Ludlow, Massachusetts.
I haven't had any of their stuff.
Definitely an underdog in the fight because they're close to a lot of different breweries. They're close to Abandoned Building Brewery. They're close to Treehouse. They're by Northampton. So there's a lot of breweries in that area. I had the chance to go a couple weeks ago, and I've had the beers before, and it's solid beer. This vote is hoping to raise awareness about them because there's other breweries that might overshadow them. I really think you guys should check out this brewery and get a chance. Iron Duke Brewing in Ludlow, Mass.
Can you tell me where Ludlow, Mass is? Just for the
Yep.
West.
It's exit 9 on the Mass Pike.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Exit 7 on the Mass Pike.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yep. So it's and you'll see it says Belchertown, which I hail from there. So it's maybe like 2 minutes off the Mass Pike. So it's really an easy to get to place. Super cool. And Carla, what do we got?
I picked Treehouse because they have blown me away
Yes.
every single time someone brings me a Treehouse beer, and I can't even remember which specific ones that I've had, but every time I've tried a Treehouse beer, I've just been like, wow. But it's funny because, like, I really want to go visit these places in Mass, Notch, Treehouse, Night Shift, these guys. I just don't have the opportunity to get down there very often, and I would love to, like next summer, take a long weekend or something and just like do a little mini tour and run around because I really feel like I'm missing out some of the cool places that these breweries have ended up and their tasting rooms and stuff.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, we're doing best breweries in Mass. We have Notch, we have Iron Duke, we have Treehouse, and we have Night Shift. That's a Final Four right there, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So I mean, and spanning the entire state. So that's good stuff on all of us. We're going to Connecticut, and I'll toss over to Ben, who hails from there.
That's right. For Connecticut beer, like I said earlier, there's not too many out there. Got to give it up to the king of Connecticut beers. That's Nebco, New England Brewing Company, no questions. Gandhi Bot, I don't know, we can't call it that anymore. It's G-Bot. G-Bot now. And 668, I'm a big fan of that. Fuzzy fucking ducks. Yep, I got a real head cold coming on here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Nebco for me.
Most excellent. I picked Black Hog. Again, I haven't had much. Again, love Nebco. Haven't had much from Connecticut in general, but the Black Hogs that I've been able to get from Ben have been fantastic, and nice to have a beer from former brewer from around this area. So Black Hog is my vote. Carla, what do you got?
I was singing the praises of Two Roads earlier, and I have to, just continue with that. That's probably the Connecticut brewery I'm most familiar with at this point, and the quality of their beer has been awesome so far. So I can't wait to try more from them.
Awesome. Two Roads indeed, and we have a couple amens in the chat about them as well. And Sean, what do you got?
I followed suit and also went with Black Hog.
Excellent. So real quick, back to the chat. I forgot to mention their mass picks. There's a few votes for Treehouse and Trillium. So yes.
Surprise.
Yeah, big surprise. Hey, for sure.
The Trillium pageant winner in the chat. So.
I think I've only had.
And I don't mean Ken.
Oh boy, what kind of beauty pageant are we running here? Yeah. So again, best breweries in Connecticut go to Black Hog, Two Roads Brewing, and New England Brewing Company, aka Nebco. Check them out. It gets a little tougher here with best brewery of Rhode Island. Let's start with Ben, who has the only differential out of the rest of us.
Well, as I said for best beer in Rhode Island with Captain's Daughter, I had to give it to Grey Sail.
Good stuff. And then Sean, spoiler alert for everybody else, Sean, Carla, and myself gave it to Foolproof. It's a good vote. Any reason why or why not, Carla? Or
Just again, I don't drink a ton of Rhode Island beer, but their stuff is good. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the brewers there used to be in Pennachuck Brewing in New Hampshire, and he did stuff while he was there. So definitely some high quality beer there. But again, I don't really have regular access to it. But they're the ones I'm most familiar with.
Ken wants to know what he wins, Sean. So I don't know if we get him a tiara. Get him a little
What
sack.
did you say? What was it? Pepperidge Farm.
He gets a big old Pepperidge Farm meat stick. I'll send it to him personally. It's coming from me. We also have votes for Foolproof as well in Gray Sale.
Proclamation.
Oh yeah, is the best. All right. So if Proclamation is the best way to get there, got to figure that out. So the best breweries in Rhode Island go to Foolproof and Gray Sale. So again, we have three votes for Foolproof. That's awesome. Rounding out the best brewery category, we're going to Vermont here, and again, not an easy decision. I will kick it off because it's such a tough decision. It was easy for me because I had such a good time every time I went to this brewery, and I'm going to give it to Four Quarters Brewing Company in Burlington, or Winooski, excuse me. And I had a great time going to their brewery. Their beers are great. They have crowlers. They also have a ton of records for sale, which is an interesting thing to throw into a brewery tap room. But I look forward to seeing them expand and make more beer. Four Quarters, hands down for me, best brewery in Vermont. Who wants to go next? I'm not going to pass it off. You guys fight over who wants next.
I'll jump in. I said it before. Zero Gravity. That tap room, the experience there, the quality of the beer. The music they had playing again. I didn't mention this before, but the weekend that we were up there was for the Vermont City Marathon, and they, it's a brewery, but they opened up the brewery at like 9 a.m. the next day. We were there on a Saturday, and I think for the marathon they opened up the brewery at 9 a.m. so people could just kind of hang out on their porch, which was right on the marathon route.
Oh, neat.
Drink beer if you want, but there was like a little breakfast place next door that had egg sandwiches, so you could like get your sandwich over there and come hang out on their patio, listen to good music, and watch all the runners come by. It was just a phenomenal experience. Got to give it to Zero Gravity.
Most excellent. Who wants next? Sean or Carla?
I'll be next. I put Lawson's Finest Liquids in there. I have liked their beer for quite some time, and like I said, I had Sip of Sunshine again recently. It just reminded me how good it was. So, Lawson's.
It was a hard choice. There's a lot of breweries that I've been able to visit and check out, but just the overall selection of different things that I continually get impressed by. Otter Creek.
Talk about a brewery that's changed the game. Like they've completely reformulated everything they've been doing to go. Was it eight pale ales and IPAs and two dark beers?
Yeah, and when they used to have like a copper
beers.
ale, a black ale, very standard beers, and now they're outside the box. Just talking about going back to our first category, which was labels. Have you seen the Russian Imperial Stout label that they have?
I don't think so.
It's Matryoshka dolls, the Russian nesting dolls that sit next to each other, and it's got the same sort of branding fashion, which is pretty sharp.
Very cool. Oh, we have some votes, obviously, for Hill Farmstead, for sure, and Lawson's. I never get a chance to have too much Hill Farmstead, but I did get a chance to go up there for the first time this year, and it was a haul. But man, yeah, great brewery as well. Good nomination. The winners go to Zero Gravity in Burlington, Four Quarters in Winooski, Lawson's Finest Liquids in Warren, I believe, right? Where is Lawson's out of? I'll take that silence as a yes.
I don't know what the town is.
Yeah, that's fine. And Otter Creek out of Sean?
Burlington.
Otter Creek's in Burlington?
No.
No?
Waterbury?
Waterbury.
No.
Waterbury.
Okay, sounds good to me. So yes, those are the votes for best brewery in Vermont. I know we're running a little bit long. We only have two categories. What'd you say?
Otter Creek is in Middlebury.
Middlebury. I know it was Bury.
Biddlebury. So now we're coming up with the last two categories that are best new brewery of 2015 and best beer of this year. Again, the best beer that we've had this year. Didn't have to come out this year. It's just kind of the beers that rang on our heads is like, man, this was like the best beer I've had this year. So, best new brewery of 2015. There's a couple of unanimous decisions here, almost. But let's start off with Carla. Carla, what did you pick for your best new brewery of 2015?
So I also picked this in the article that I wrote about just Maine in general, but I really have been impressed with Orono Brewing Company. And anybody who hasn't made it all the way up to Orono probably has no idea who I'm talking about. But basically, there's this great brew pub in the middle of Orono, which is close to Bangor. It's up up higher in Maine, and the brewer there can just take any style of beer and just kind of nail it. I've had everything from hoppy stuff to dark beer to cream ales on nitro, and it just everything I've had has been really well executed. And I can't say that a lot about a lot of breweries in their first year. So I just have to tip my hat to the fact that they're really doing a great job coming out of the gate. They've kind of reinvigorated some of the just basically the beer scene up there. They've kind of kick-started, this new growth of that area that really traditionally didn't have a lot going on for beer, and that's why I think they deserve it.
Very cool. I got to try some of that beer, and that's way up. That's up there.
Yeah.
That's like Canada, Maine.
Yeah, it's actually not as far as the rest of Maine, but it's still about 2.5 hours north of Portland. So, so you go to Portland and then keep going. Yeah. But for comparison purposes, Lubeck Brewing Company is something like 5 hours away from Portland. So
okay,
still within but from there you can basically throw a rock at Canada. So.
Jeez. And I'll go ahead and say mine, and whoever else voted can hop in as well. I voted for Deciduous, which is not a super big surprise. Deciduous Brewing Company out of Newmarket, New Hampshire, stone's throw from Mikasa. More along the basis as most anticipated brewery to open this year, as well as very well executed opening, and they're continuing to impress and have bottles and I believe 9 taps in their tasting room. So most successful in my eyes in the way they launched. So I give it to Deciduous and our buddy from episode 1, Dave Sokolsky. Big ups to him.
Yeah, you covered it. That's my vote too.
And my vote also.
Good stuff. Anything else to add besides the smoke I just blew?
It's a beautiful tap room.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really have a really nicely done tap room. It's different. It feels more mature. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's like a nice restaurant.
And it's hard to get unless you go to the source. If you go to the source, you can be able to get some of the beers. So don't be worried that you might not necessarily find it around in different restaurants and shops, but go to the source and you're going to be able to get the beers. So
yeah, good stuff. Get there. It's Newmarket. Big fan. So again, the 2 best breweries of 2015, 2 best new breweries of 2015 are Deciduous Brewing Company out of Newmarket, New Hampshire, and Orono Brewing Company out of Portland. No, I'm kidding. Out of Oregon, out of Orono, Maine. So there we go. Coming in hot on a couple of honorable mentions from the chat, of course. Ooh, a lot of votes for Medusa. So I got to get there myself and check it out. So Medusa Brewing has won the chat over. So check that out. Let's go for the final category. The final category is, of course, the best beer of 2015. Again, disclaimer: this is the best beer that we've had 2015 that we can say yes, this is definitively our favorite beer that we've had this year. Who wants to start and take the torch? This is the finale. What do we got?
I'll start.
Yeah, look at that.
I'm gonna go with the beer that I waited in the longest line for this year.
Perfect.
And it lived up to the hype for me. I'm going to go with Mont the Lesser from Tributary Brewing Company out of Kittery, Maine.
Awesome.
Nice.
And you waited in line for this fall one before that too, right?
Oh, so that's the one that I waited in line for. So.
No. Oh God, that's blow.
I didn't even go to this.
No, it's totally fine. No, it was winter. It wasn't fall. It was.
Yeah.
It was March or February. So yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vote still counts. No one's gonna be, there's no hanging chads here. We're good.
It showed up in my 2015 Untapped release.
Nice. Could you check it in 2015?
Yeah.
Oh, I had that beer. Let me just check it in real quick. Nice. I'll hop in next. Just right down the road from them is Earth Eagle, and Earth Eagle came out with a beer this year that I declare is one of my favorite saisons of all time, and one of my favorite beers of all time is the Earth Eagle Brewing Nebraska. Something about that beer that really, anytime it's on, I smile, and I'll get as much of it as I can. If you get a chance to try it, it's a saison. Earth Eagle Brewing's Nebraska. It's my favorite beer of the year. Carla or Ben, what are you thinking?
Go ahead, Carla.
I had to go with Foundation Epiphany for all of the reasons that I listed before.
Yes. Because reasons. What do you want?
Because the reasons. But seriously, if you haven't tried it yet, it's now widely enough available in Maine that you should be able to get your hands on it either on tap or in a can, and you should definitely do that. It's a really solid beer.
Awesome.
Incredibly consistent as well, which to me I'm getting more picky about as I become a cranky old person.
Oh boy, so I just posted a link about how to be a beer geek too on Twitter, or signs to look for in a beer geek. So I'll have to read that. And Ben, longest member of the podcast, gets the final vote.
I picked Bissell Brothers Substance. The sole reason that I picked this is because I couldn't go to someplace that had it on tap and not select it. This is up until 2 days ago, Saturday night, out to dinner at Thistle Pig. They had a great tap list with some great. They had the Brooklyn Imperial, their Sriracha Saison. Some.
What? Whoa, Sriracha? Yeah. What? Say it again.
Imperial Sriracha.
What?
Yeah.
So like Sriracha Imperial.
It was I think it was called Lord Sriracha.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But they also had Substance on it, and I was like, I just know how it's going to be. I know it's going to be awesome. I know that I can count on this to be a home run. So that's my pick.
Awesome. So the 4 best beers as voted on by the Seacoast Beverage Lab podcast of 2015, we have Bissell Brothers Substance, we have Earth Eagle Nebraska, we have Foundation Epiphany, and we have Tributary Mott the Lesser. Well, we did it, and I just tossed a link in the chat for everyone to see, and I'll put it in the show notes. We just voted on 25 categories of best ofs. Some quick shout-outs to the chat real quick. We had a couple runners-up. Sam Adams Utopias for 2015. That's a good vote right there. Sam Utopias. We also have Imperial Stone Boo by DeGard. Did I even mention that right? Am I reading that right too? Can you tell me if I read it wrong? But yes, so some good picks there. We have unleashed all of our votes. So you can go check it out. I'm not going to read them again, but we picked the best brewery and the best beer. Any final comments on the years, guys? But before we shut this thing down, how the year's been? What you're looking forward to next year? Ben, real quick.
Looking forward to Notch. Can't wait to get down there. When we had him on a couple weeks ago, he got me so excited for a European style tap room. I can't wait to see how that shapes up. That's what I'm kind of most looking forward to for 2016.
Awesome. Carla, anything looking forward to?
I am actually going down to Deciduous later this week to try more stuff. Beyond that, I haven't really checked the calendar for beer events. I have to find something to do on New Year's Eve, and there are tons of New Year's Eve events picking up, later this week, but I haven't decided where I'm going. But I'm just really looking forward to a new year of good beer. So hopefully it should be all getting going pretty soon.
Very cool. Shano, looking forward to big things?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Tampa and Philly this year, which are kind of pre-scheduled trips to go on. But really, I'm looking forward to seeing how some of the new breweries from the last 12 to 15 months, how they start progressing and what beers they're going to start creating, and kind of seeing how they get into the mix. But I'm also very interested to see how this all this big beer and buyout stuff flush out. I think the Brewers Association has a really tough decisions when it comes up this next year when they just start deciding on who is a craft brewery and who isn't a craft brewery. And really, I think what's really come down to when we talked, I think we really didn't spend a lot of time in 2015 talking about it, but we did it in 2014 talking about the bubble and the bust. There's not a bubble. There's just a mergers and acquisitions that happened.
Yeah.
So these breweries aren't necessarily closing, and I really want to see what happens after these 6 to 9 months of all these changes of breweries. See what comes out new and what's the availability of some of the products. I think even in New Hampshire, we've started to see that the Alpine Green Flash thing, that Alpine's now becoming a little bit more available in New England states. So I want to see how it unfolds, and I think to me that's very exciting, because I think everybody's definition of drink craft beer has changed, because it's not going to fit necessarily into the cookie cutter motto that the Brewers Association currently has under definitions right now.
I mean, I'll say ditto. How's that sound? No, yeah, that's phenomenal points all around. I'm looking forward to pretty much improving the podcast. If you guys follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I've been doing some periscoping nonsense that have to do with beer. So just doing more stuff to be more involved in beer and less typey, more talky and video-y. So because I feel it's more personable that way. Other than that, I am just looking forward to seeing what if will IPA finally go on a down. Carla's shaking her head. I'm my fingers crossed that hops become unless there's some big shortage that makes it happen. I'll look at Carla holding up all the IPAs in her hand. But yeah, so
tonight, just so you know.
Yeah,
but Brian, what's gonna happen is that the sour category is gonna get more aggressive, and then the hops are gonna be available for the IPAs, and that there's gonna be this convergence of like two big groups of big styles, and that they'll have ingredients for both sides.
Yeah. I'm more interested in just always seeing like what the next either big style is, or if will the big style kind of fade out. I'm not too sure. But that's going to be it for this year of Secret Strategy Lab podcast. We're going to be back. I say next year, but I'll be back next week. If you guys like the show, please tell your friends and spread the word on the podcast. Big guest lineup next year, and Ben.
Goza for everyone.
What's that?
As the chat says.
Oh yes.
Goza for everyone.
Oh boy. Sean, Carla, and Ben, I appreciate you guys hanging in there for this long ep because we got to get this done. But cheers, guys, and we'll see you in 2016.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Good night.